So hello everybody, and welcome to some lovely WARNO action. As today we gonna go into some Division 3 and Division 1 quarterfinal games. We have Threesix versus Trisko first, and then we're gonna go into the lovely game between Skiffik and the GOAT, the OG GOAT, Mr. Tman, uh, Tmanplays himself. And I'm also joined by Mr. Chloride, but I just realized something happened in my OBS, so I hope I can get him in here in a second. That's on my end this time around. I should have him in now.
Help, I'm locked in a void. Where are you, Protoss?
We have you here, and let's go.
Oh, thank God. I wouldn't have missed these games.
And yeah, we have Trisko versus Threesix coming in here. First quarterfinals of Division 3, and we have a lot of known names here, including MZO, Lijek, Leranger, and the sneaky black guy. And Trisko and Threesix, well-known pillars of the community as well, have been around for a long time in the competitive scene as well, and are up here to fight for a place in Division 2 next season, as whoever wins will move on to there. And also, big thanks to Threesix here, as they helped out funding the tournament prize pool over at Mesh Arena already, helping out with $50. So big thanks to them. And yeah, let's see how we can get this going on, as we have 5th Panzer versus 419th on 2 legs. So once more, one of our dreaded 2-leg games, but this could be an interesting one, as they both set up for Zulu.
Yeah, so this here, the divisional matchup, 5th Panzer versus 119th Independent Tank Battalion, which is the specialized exploitation formation of the Soviet Army, and 5th Panzer being the heaviest West German tank division, the one with the most leopards, unless you watch. And right here, I'd say both of these, I like these picks, especially this is as this is a Division 3 game, that these are not necessarily the meta. Both of these divisions are powerful, but I believe that the motivation to play these divisions against each other here, of course, one of them is picking it against each other, is really about them picking powerful divisions. This is going to be the premium tank versus premium. This is going to have both sides a reasonably equal amount of forward deployment, with the Spets, of course, being the and supported by Rasrika BNP2s, of course, having the edge. And this is going to have the kind of over too much armor that T80Us and UDs get, the 19 and 21 armor packages, going against the fast and maybe only tank guns that can actually do reliable damage against them. The Leopard 2A4C.
And yeah, we have Spesnat's OPs, we have Radretka Saperis here coming in on the BMP2 at the beginning, and both are quick into the action here, as this was a pretty short deployment phase. And yeah, we have the action going towards Zulu. Oscar basically abandoned by both sides. We have some Spetsnaz GIU spotting into it, we have a BRM1 spotting into it, and then an Alouette and a Jägerführer going for the capture, but 90% of the points of both sides going into the north here. Spetsnaz coming up, Modrazvedka coming up as well, and the Conquerors following in there. So we're gonna see how that clash will go. Obviously, the Defender advantage on 3-6 side has the Spetsnaz first in town, has the town in his back, whilst Trisko is the one that has to rush into it. But a lot of autocannons, a good couple of good Jägerführers, and that should be pretty powerful push there.
Yeah, what really kind of remarkable to me about this this opener is that this is like mega standard. These are, nothing here is out of the ordinary. Like, this is what we would expect a standard unimaginative game to go here on 2 openers. But for these players on the Division 3 level, this is like peak performance, achieving this standard, no extra fat, everything going perfectly planned, and everything kind of decisively done. This is the goal of being something like a Division 4 or Division 3 player, is knowing how to do this and how to execute.
Yeah, Luxus and Fuxus moving around. Petretka Saperi getting hit by the Leopard 2A4s. Alouette goes down. Tunguska slowly pushing forward. And the Lux A1 goes down there. Whilst we have Modradredka trying to push through the open. BMP2 coming along. Gets the Lux kill. So Lux is really dying here quite quickly to the BMP2. Good positioning of the BMP2 there on the side. But the Leo 2A4 is coming over to hunt them. And it's coming over with vigor and speed. Going 70 kilometers off-road speed. Is now inside. Should be able to engage these BMP2s. And should be able to finish their reign over the open field.
Yeah, the double Raspetka BMP2 going up the northern area to challenge those recon and ATGM positions, while at the same time a Spetsnaz GRU and 2 BRDM Conqueresses also managing the recon and the Conquerors attack on the south part of the map here. And the tank following the Spetsnaz GRU here, as it's supposed to. You should never have your tank go beyond what your recon is spotting. That's just common sense, really. And right now, Trisko, losing both the north and south angles, is going to want to hold into the little sliver of town that he managed to get in. As long as the entrance point is there and units can realistically get in there, the fight for the town is still on. And on Su-24HE, the heavy bomber going in there.
That could be disastrous. It's only hitting the Pioneer, though. Getting the Unimog supply truck can be helpful as well. Spetsnaz here need to be reloaded. Spetsnaz with the RPOAs can stand down a lot of enemy units. Anflam Patronic from the other side, obviously not bad either in those scenarios, but a bit weaker. And yeah, the Spetsnaz have reloaded. So this will start to hit here. Pioneer Flam getting stunned down immediately. And Spetsnaz GRU really going to town there. Pioneer Flam getting a bit of damage out in the other direction as well, but taking a lot of damage themselves. TO-55s here falling back away from the Milan 2 and Martyr Milan 1. Milan 1 Martyrs now with 50% base accuracy as the Milan 1 got buffed across the board. So another slight buff to the Germans as that's their best ATGM on their IVs. Leo 2A4C moving around here on the hunt as well for these TO-55s. And Threesix has to be careful to not lose the southern flank completely and not lose his entrance to the road, as that to the town, as that would be pretty disastrous for the south. Hasn't realized that the southern town is completely empty, that Trisko hasn't put anything in there, and is fighting hard now to stay in the town. Pioneers of Carl Gustavs, they don't get extra HE output, but they get the shock value, so they are pretty decent town fighters as well. The Rastrechka Saperi with the TNT can do a bit more there. Spetsnaz should get involved again as well. T80U has fallen back, as it is pretty damaged, and both BRDM Conquerors getting lost there. That's unfortunate. That's a bit of a misplay there, as they lost the recon. And yeah, we will see what Threesix can do here.
Yeah, so right now we're seeing the Gepards actually go very close in there. That's a very risky play, but with the Spetsnaz and the Raspetka Saperis being both without an AT weapon, only the OP Spetsnaz and Pulamachikis are actual threats here. So with careful micro, Trisko should be able to do this free damage as we're seeing them fully stun and put down the low cohesion, the Spetsnaz unit. Now, with these infantry fights and the infantry units here being also wounded, the Gepards could maybe be the thing that actually secures this. And if the West German infantry can reliably take control of the inside of the town, this means that a Leopard or Martyrs could go in the town where they can get excellent peaking positions, where they could kill the Tunguskas, where they could destroy the TO-55s. So once again, even for 3-6, holding the corner and not allowing the enemy the complete control of the town is the tactical choice here.
Yeah, Trisko, good job there killing off the Spetsnaz. 3-6 realizing what happened just a bit too late. The OB Spetsnaz couldn't quite get on target, and the Spetsnaz getting completely annihilated. Finally gets rid of the Gepard, but that's actually a fair trade with the pretty expensive Spetsnaz forces that are also only there in limited supply for 3-6. And that's an issue for 3-6 because you get good infantry for the opener, you get those special forces, but your infantry numbers in total are really, really limited for 109 teams. So every infantry unit you lose is one that is hard to replace there. Jaguars also coming now, trying to push around the north, trying to annoy the T80U. T80U back to full strength, wants to get into gun range here against these units, as the Leo 2A4 has been beaten here. And yeah, the town fight is still going strong here. Spetsnaz pushing forward now, trying to get the town back, but resupplied pioneers are there in force, and they will hold the town edge for now there, especially with Gebhards and Martyrs helping out.
Yeah, when with the Soviet infantry being brought here at 0 vet, and the Soviet infantry already being smaller squads than the West German infantry, the standard vet 1 and now up-vetted pioneers are just completely superior unit here. This is not a position that 5th Panzer regularly gets, where they just have the stronger infantry tab. Of course, sans the Spetsnaz, but the Spetsnaz can be dealt with specialized units. And the Jaeger buy here, even though generally playing an armored division, you want to watch out that you're not playing the armored division like an infantry division, that you're not spending most of your points in a bad infantry tab. In this case, the Jaeger hold kind of does make sense. But really, I do think that with the second T-ATU going out there, the first one is wounded, and the TO-55s are also wounded. So there is time until Threesix can actually move out here with a proper mechanized attack. And this time, in my opinion, should be used by Trisko to get out some goddamn leopards. Jaguars alone are not good enough, and there needs to be something that can push out the T-ATUs when the T-ATs are moving into trying to do infantry support.
Yeah, we see now Trisko also starting to realize that Oscar might be completely empty as well, bringing up the CV there. We saw an S227 and an F4 flying straight into each other and killing each other, with the last AM9L of the F4 getting a final hit there on the S227 after being shut down. And yeah, the town fight here is going well for Trisko. The Spetsnaz and Motostrelki here all pretty low, no resupply behind them. So the TADUs and BMPs might run out of optics here, and this is an issue, as losing the full control over the town, no artillery up and so on. Now Superior RPO will try to rescue this in time. BMP1 goes down though. How do you get back into the town? It's gonna be tough, especially with Milan 2s maybe coming around for the flanks. Leo 1A5s now getting in there. Like, Trisko should really now get some flanking units, some flanking defending units to protect 3-6 breaking through on the flanks. And then this could be a troublesome situation for our player in red, that maybe only some Akacia artillery pieces can really salvage here now.
Yeah, the standard thing to do playing 1/19th in anything really is about the blob. It is a blob-centered division. The mech units are the ones where you want to be spending your points in. You get your Tunguskas that work best when your expensive, valuable units are concentrated. And you get the BRMs, which will provide top-tier recon for this formation. But the problem is that there is only going to be so much damage that you can do that the enemy can can resupply, can replace. That even no matter how big of a blob of tanks you keep doing, as long as there is more infantry to hold that town, the attrition will work against the mech blob. And as you said there, the possibility of maybe challenging Oscar, the idea of getting some artillery, all of this is very relevant. And I'm afraid that we might see 3-6 kind of getting tunnel visioned here, just taking the standard conservative positions and going to try to keep on doing infantry assaults. Now with the Saperi RPOs, the RPOs do have the flame launchers, but just points-wise, and the fact that there are infantry leaders here, it means that your Jaegers and your Pioneers they're just gonna they're going to recover the cohesion 3 times faster, and that's not even considering all the other debuffs and buffs.
Yeah, Jägerführer here disengaging, and the numbers are just in favor of Trisko here. And the 0 veterancy infantry of the Zaperia RPO and Motostrelki here, they just don't stand a chance. They need the fire support of the BDRs, T80s, and co. BMP2 coming around again. South has been cleared out again. TO-55s and T-80s are still alive, so there is still some play here for sure. You just have to stop throwing away infantry. Maybe give up this town for a bit longer and start playing for flanking playstyle here, trying to get the mechanized warfare under control. Because infantry, in the long game, can be just smacked by vehicles if they have no vehicle support or ATGM team support whatsoever. They can't touch the vehicles, but you first obviously need to get all of that surrounding area under control, and in the meantime, the tick will go up here for Trisko. Oh, getting a Mi-8 helicopter that was still nearly full of supply shut down there in a time where repairs are necessary for Threesix for a good couple of units. That's pretty painful as well. And yeah, the BMP-1, just not a great fire support unit. Its 76mm or 73mm gun is not dealing that much damage to enemy ground units, and the Marder autocannons do a lot more there.
Yeah, the infantry attack there, it served no purpose. The infantry attack should have just waited for like 4 minutes, and this reinforcing T-ATU could be joining in with them. And now they're all attacking after losing all of the units, after the Trisko has managed to resupply their forces. Like there is just the pacing is not right. There's a T-ATU in the southern front, just standing around, getting fired by Milan 2s, while the rest of the tanks are attacking in the northern flank. No, the tanks should all be together. You can't. There is nothing here to stretch. These 310-point units have to be in the fight when the fight is happening. Otherwise, you risk losing them, as we can see right now.
There we go. TDU smokes off just in time, but it is really low. It has to get the hell out of there. The other one in the north is completely combat inefficient as well. The Jaguars coming out for blood for the TO-55s. Get a good hit there. It's a near miss, otherwise it would have been a kill there. But the TO-55 needs to get the hell out of there. And it's not currently moving, only now starts to move. And it likely is not gonna... Oh, it just breaks out of sight there. Okay, that didn't quite look like it. But Leo 2A3 on the way already. The town 100% in the hand of Trisko. Trisko also has supply in there. Not getting artillery online here and instead throwing more infantry into the problem was a mistake by Threesix. You only get Acacia, so not quite the top level kind of artillery, but still good enough to deal with a smaller town like this and clearing it out over time. Jaguar 2 coming around, gets the BTR 60 killed off. The Motvachvetka sits in the front, and the TDUs, yeah, they are key, but they are both so low, and keeping them resupplied is painful. Tunguskas, they could help out with anti-infantry work as well, but they have been kept pretty defensively here, whilst the Su-22 force come out with a good bombing run towards the Jaguars, but a lot of firepower coming their way as well.
Yeah, I had my perspective wrong. I was mixing up north and south earlier, but now I'm correct. Yeah, the Fliegerfaust not really having any effect on the Su-24s, but so far the Su-24s also are not getting the money shots. You know, they're not getting the actual game-changing rounds. And now what we're seeing is Threesix is actually trying to bypass the town with the Motora Svetka and T-ATU pushing up against the Leopard 2 and first pair. This engagement also not happening perfectly, so the Leopard can get a free kill here and also the first shot.
Yeah, Jaguar also on the north, a scary flank. TDU loses his computer, needs to smoke off there, keeps on taking the fight. That's a big mistake. Oh, smokes off just in time, but the Jaguar is there. Seeing the whole re-retreat path there. T-55 gets a shot out, but the Jaguar, they're coming in with the missile, and there comes the GG. As we have a surrender from Threesix. A bit early, maybe? I'm not quite sure if that was just in time. As we see here in the KD, even with the TADU loss, they would have been still pretty much on par there. But yeah, it's two lakes. It's tough to recover when you lose the town and you are on a tank division. It's not impossible, though. We have seen comebacks from worse situations on this map a couple of times, and I feel like for quarterfinals, this might have been a bit of an early surrender here from Threesix. But still, well-executed push there into the town by Trisko against a division that has Special Force Forward deployed, and that's not easy, especially without anything like helicopters or so. So, job well done there, a well-executed push, and a deserved win there, if just by morale, by Trisko here.
Yeah, I think there was just a little bit of miss micro with the Spetsnaz earlier in the fights. the Spetsnaz maybe aggroed a little bit and like put themselves on the line of fire when it was not useful, and also the fire support for the Germans was just more reliable. There were more of those units out there, and they were used less sparingly, which is why the fire support was also lost, and the tank numbers were reliably for the Soviets, but they were just playing overtly careful with them. The sort of wide front line of having these T80 MBTs, one of them in each position, that's not really the way to play it in the early game. That's what you want to do playing 79th when you're playing late game and you have large front lines with ATGMs, etc., etc. Right there, you really wanted to have a tight-knit group of couple of tanks, couple of AA guns, and some recon, and then you go out there, you kill a unit, and you run, you put up a smoke, and then you do that again. That's the way to actually exploit the numbers advantage, but instead we saw the initiative very early go for the West Germans, and they used it perfectly. And yeah.
Yeah, well executed for sure by Trisko. And yeah, Chad, what do you think? Was this recoverable for 3-6, or was it in too early of a lead? Let us know in the chat. And with that said, we're gonna go into a short break. And then we're gonna be back with game number 2. As we were gonna see if 3-6 can recover this, or if Trisko can move on to the semifinal in this best of 3. See you all in 2 minutes. And here we return, game number 2 between Trisko and 3-6. And it's a bit of a like Groundhog Day or deja vu, because we had that same matchup just last week when we casted Division 2 quarterfinals. And it's gonna be interesting to see if the outcome will be the same, as it's even the same side as on the left side in blue, just like Joker Tart last Friday. We have Trisko playing as the 101st, and then just like Aim Doozy did on this side last week, we have 3-6 playing 20th Panzerna. Oh no, not Joker Tart. I mean Axis. Axis versus Aim Doozy. It was a fantastic little quarterfinal. And yeah, this one might be a similar one, as we have a lot of helicopters already coming up, and this is going to be interesting. If there's one weakness in 20th Panzerna, it's the Strela Manpad. That's the best they get, though it's cheap, but it's not quite on the same level as an Igla.
Yeah, and I think here we can see 101st being used in a very interesting way, which is trying to beat the Polish Spec Ops in the speed game. And here, with the way that the map is built, the helicopters, not just because they are some of the fastest transport helicopters in the game, but also because of the lakes here and the way that the roads are built, the helis can actually have a huge tactical initiative in trying to get into the middle. The fact that the Hongarus are only transporting 4-man squads kind of means that these 4-man squads are better off trying to deploy defensively, which inherently lessens the pressure that the 20th Panzerna can actually open with. And with 101st having a decent mech tab with a bunch of TOW2s and MIIPs, as well as a lot of good helicopters, and as you said, the Strela is not the perfect choice. If you have to rely on it, it's you're going to be throwing dice either way. So the T-72s are not necessarily going to be the greatest late game tool. Now, the way to win this for 20th is, of course, just kill the American units. American units are generally more expensive. 101st is not known as the most efficient division, with having good but also expensive infantry units. And the artillery that they get is also decent, but it's not self-propelled. So the Polish artillery can counter-batter it and force Trisko to do a lot of micro if they want to keep it alive. And in general, the Polish are the efficient ones. The 101st is one of the poster boys of inefficient divisions with like high-tech, cool spec ops units. And maybe the AGL and Humvee, the 50-gallon AGL Humvees with the deltas can actually apply enough pressure to put 101st into an aggro position, but it's going to be very interesting to see. Remind me, how did that aim juicy game go?
The aim doozy game went well for WARNO first, but this is a wild opener already from Trisko, because these deltas, they don't come in the Special Forces Humvee, they come only in the normal Humvee, so these are not the extra speed. Like, one of the advantages that you get with WARNO first is that you get the Delta Humvees that also have the same speed or higher speed than the Honkaroos, because they also have the normal forward deployment, not just recon forward deployment. So you actually have a speed advantage over the Honkaroos with same firepower and more hit points on your vehicle. So you have the better vehicle if you want to take it, but it seems like Trisko didn't want to pick that, deciding to just have the Delta arrive at the same time as the Blackhawks. Double MiG-21 here, coming in, getting one OH helicopter down. OH taking revenge though. That's the strength of these Stinger helicopters, who have super low aim time and great rate of fire. They can fire away on something like a MiG-21 pretty fast. Trying to counter them with planes is always pretty risky. The Kiowa Warrior though was forced to land, nearly died there to the gun run. MiG-21 coming again for the second OH-58. Still has 2 Stingers in it. Doesn't get the first hit though, but MiG-21 doesn't get the hit either, so both sides stay alive for now. Whilst the Kiowa Warrior under fire on the ground. Okay, able to retaliate now. Has the way faster flying missile, but does miss. Okay, gets up on the air. Malutka P goes down to the Totu. MiG-21 now coming around for the OH, not for the Kiowa though. So the Kiowa stays alive for now. Meanwhile, wild fights in the north. Ross Specialnies versus Deltas. Going both ways there. Some Humvees dying, some Deltas down to 1 hit point. Some Ross Specialnies going down as well though. So a really bloody opener here for both sides, but slight positional advantage for Trisko.
Yeah, the Trisko really didn't play this as aggressively as I thought it was going to be, with the Deltas having the numbers and also theoretically the speed advantage with the good Humvees. They could have actually pushed the enemy position, but now all the Deltas went into this wide formation with the southern one, with the AGL, not participating in any of these fights, not in a position to do anything. They're going to have to wait for reinforcements to actually support this full-man Delta squad in the fight here. And with the Honkers and the Scots and even a T-55 fire support tank, for the moment, the Polish have complete superiority. This was pretty badly positioned from Trisko, I think. Though, meanwhile, in this middle position, as well as the engagement currently happening down south, both of them have kind of stumped Threesix's initiative. Threesix has shown the slight attack and is showing the T-72 right now. And the Kiowa Warrior will be there in time to maybe challenge this, and if the worst case scenario, it will be taken away by the Shilka, of course.
Yeah, Saperzi Stomovi getting attacked by the AGL. Deltas getting in there quite nicely as well. So the Saperzi Stomovi will go down, but Scott and Honker coming around, pushing back the AGL. That one will go down. So yeah, both sides keep on losing light units here. T-72M, under attack by the TOW2. Stunned down, pushed back. Kiowa Warrior, really scary unit here. Has to be beaten back by Shilkas and Strellas. I'm surprised we don't see any Strela 10s on the battlefield yet. The Shilka has the problem. It actually gets outranged. It only has 2,650 meter range against the 2,800 meter range of the Kiowa or Apache Hellfires. So Shilka's actually not the hard counter against helicopters in this matchup that you want them to be.
Kiowa is too close.
Yeah, gets the BMP-1. Shilka should push forward now. Oh, it gets another ATGM out here. Gets the BMP-1 later as well. Got the T-72 killed off with the help of the other units as well. So all 3 armored units in the south go down. Shilka didn't react here. Threesix a bit slow on the positioning. T-55A gets the kill onto the Humvee air fire team in the north. Stomovi,
yeah, it wasn't the only one. All the reinforcements up north were taken out by the T-55. Huge blunder for Trisko.
Yeah, both sides here losing a lot of forces. We see Gamma Goat coming in with a pivot team, but that one still keeps on driving. TO-55 blowing that one up into smithereens as well. And we have a beautiful battlefield here with a lot of burning wreckage on it, as both sides really keep on taking heavy losses. It's a high octane game, and both players are not quite able to keep up with speed.
Yeah, with the there's going to be an Abrams up north, and the Abrams working together with the Kiowa Warriors can contain the push of Threesix, but they have basically no way of preventing Threesix from getting Spec Ops Recon into that silo tower where they can give perfect information to everything, giving a massive initiative to Threesix and also ability to pre-plan any engagements. Trisko is, despite winning in points and being kind of uncontested in the middle right now, is in a pretty bad position. And if Threesix doesn't mess this up, they could probably get into and start beating that 600-point lead. Driving the Abrams and driving the machine gun here so close. This is too risky. The Aeroscout GSR are trying to beat the Rospecialny to the tower. That's, as far as place goes, that's pretty all right, but only because Estrella was behind the building and did not get a shot off.
And here comes the Aero Scouts GSR pushing the Rospecialny, the Chinook being able to land there, not getting killed by the RPG-7VL. Pretty lucky. Otherwise, the Aero Scouts would have been immediately stunned down as well. But this way around, the heavy 13-man recon squad, one of the weirdest squads in the game, because it's a 13-man squad that wants to get into combat, but also just chill out in the corner and be the voyeurists watching everybody with the GSR. It's a really wild group. And
it's not a good unit, is it? It doesn't really fit its purpose. It's like 50-50 in whole ways. If I'm paying 150 points for helicopter infantry, I probably want them to have either more support weapons than just a single sniper, or better ATs than just a single law.
And yeah, 50 cal pushing forward, M1IP moving around. Oh, MiG-21 getting thrown into the combat again, gets at least a Kiowa Warrior this time around, so that's a somewhat even trade. But yeah, trying to get MiG-21s through Eagles and a lot of Stingers, that's not an easy task. T-55AS slightly missing the M1IP, and M1IP taking revenge, killing off the T-55AS there. More only GSR getting found out by arrow rifles in the rear here, will get killed off, so currently, Threesix is losing all the recon infantry and is starting to get really blinded here, as there's no recon infantry in the north left. But the M1IP! Oh no, it got too close and it got murdered by a BMP-1 and a T-55A there. Getting in without support as well. Really, both sides losing so many units at such a quick rate here that I believe they have both less than the beginning 1,500 points on the battlefield right now.
Yeah, the southern fight, the Dana is intervening here and getting a really good salvo at the defending air rifles dragon, but Threesix barely has anything here to push. The infantry is wounded and not in a position to do anything. The T-72 is doing some free damage, but the T-72 is reliant on the 4-man Zmotzbiat unit, which is probably not long for this world, and it's as long as this heavy hog is going to get involved. Another M1IP Abrams still trying to get into that church where the 50 cal is, the standard fighting location. But even now, even with the Kiowa Warrior out there in the front, once again, the Strellas are not in position to do what they're supposed to, which is prevent these Kiowas from peeking in. The IP here, it's being played pretty scarily. There's going to be a T-72 Wilk, which is going to be able to fire at its side if it pushes into the middle. And now with the T-55 getting taken out, maybe the IP Abrams has a chance here to do a little bit of pressure. But even more T-72 reinforcements are coming in, with only infantry, anti-air, and supply reinforcements coming in for Trisko.
Yeah, the Kiowa Warrior being allowed to move around here, though. The Strela got picked off by the M1IP before it could get in position, and it gets another kill. It still has 2 missiles, so the Wilk has to be careful here as well. Arrow rifles pushing forward, and yeah, the 13-man GSR shouldn't be just standing there. It should push forward into a better position. That's why it has 13 hit points, so that it can take a bit of a beating, but it's trying to get into position and not just sit around there in the rear. should really be helping out. Wilk pushing forward, but the Kiowa Warrior is still there. You can't push into that M1 IP that easily there. Arrow Dragons getting their Dragon 2 fired upon it as well. Only stunning it down, whilst the Forgotten Missile keeps on missing here. Toe2 is around as well. This Wilk can't take this fight, especially not without Recon. Should disengage out of this, wait for the other T-72s and play a defensive game around there. But at the same time, Threesix is not getting into the middle, as Trisko got more Toe2s in there, got more AA in there, and has the South set up with a Toe2 and the arrow rifle as well. So if Trisko can get Tick back online by capturing Papa, it seems to be going pretty well for them.
Yeah, the infantry reinforcements here are going to be stepping in here, and if they can prevent the T-72s from getting into position, if the IP Abrams can hide behind the buildings and have the air rifles hold the buildings, then that's a tactical win for Trisko for now. The T-72Ms are driving in on way too close, and they might actually... Yeah, they take out the Dragon unit.
Yeah, artillery, the Dana is doing a good job here, hitting the Aero Scouts GSR in the center, where they actually become handy, being able to survive one of those salvos. Toe2 in the north. Oh, T-72s getting too close. One of them likely gonna get popped. Yeah, second one is being visible there as well. Air rifles of Laws pushing into it as well. Will likely get some shots off here. Maybe even some side shots. Toe2 flying in. Gets a hit too. Oh, this T-72 is down as well. Yeah, no recon here around anymore. 4-3-6 is such a massive issue. The T-72 will survive though, being the tanky tank that it is. MiG-21 bomber will get one of the arrows nearly down, but flies over all the stingers. Second one gets a decent hit in as well. MiG-21 barely survives. Oh my goodness. I've never seen such a low plane. Whilst Hawk in the center has to fall back from the Strela. But T-72M does fall in the end. M1 IP there coming in with the kill. And that means Threesix is now fully on the defensive in the north. It is trying to get into the center, but there is a pivot and a 50 cal there against the infantry. BMP2s are great. Toe2 currently not in the spot to engage them. And that's maybe the saving grace here, that the BMP2s can start firing away on this. But the 50 cal and pivot are in pretty good spots as well.
Yeah, Threesix's push in the south was just repeatedly bad trades after bad trades, but at least the one T-72 is survived and is now trying to flank attack, to pincer attack here with the middle. I think Threesix so far has been committing the great sin of playing Polish against an American division, which is taking bad engagements. You're going to... one unit versus one unit, you're more likely to have a bad engagement with the Polish because your stuff is really low tech compared to elite American divisions. But your division is better, so you should play to the division's strengths, not to the unit's strengths. And the bad fights down south were a great example of what you should not be doing here. But with the Danas providing very good and reliable fire support right now, and the BMP2s with the Rost BMP1 providing a nice recon force here, I think there is a future for Threesix as long as Trisko's hilariously overbuilt force up north doesn't actually can be contained. I think Threesix can maybe get into the late game here, but so far I think Trisko has been maybe a little bit too certain, wanting to be too sure of their victory. So there is a hilarious imbalance of forces there.
Yeah, MiG-21 AA keep on going around. Air Rifles Dragon coming in. Will try to hit around this. Toe2 under fire. Aero Rifle Leader trying to push through here. Get overwhelmed though. And it seems like Threesix is getting into the middle here. Has the Danas fly around. MiG-21 BIS AA under fire. Gets out. And it seems like we will see Threesix back into the middle. But Threesix now in a lot of trouble in the north. M1 IP and the Toe2 find the Wilk. Oh, both sides of a side shot there. Wilk is still showing side armor there. And it gets blown up by the Toe2. And that means that Threesix there has to be real careful. The Danas start to make a good amount of work here. Might find another Toe2 kill here. And every Toe2 kill is 95 points taken off the battlefield. So that gets you back into the business decently fast, especially as the availability is pretty low as well. And yeah, with the capture of the middle going on here, though the Green Beret ODA will hold out for a bit longer, this might go still pretty well here for Threesix, BMP2, and T672M here versus the Green Beret ODA, helping out the the ZMAT Svet, and the Green Beret. Yeah, will likely fall here in a second.
Yeah, the ODA here are gonna tank some few hits, but beyond that, there is nothing. Now, Trisko has actually bought some of that heavy artillery, the 155s that I mentioned at the start. But outside of that, there is air power with the Apache ATAS coming in, and there's a quick fix jammer and a heavy hog. Now, with the Shilka being too far to actually punish, the helicopters will do some free damage here, this being a little bit of a mismicro from 3.6's part. The Shilka still being too far away. And yeah, the vehicles are going out there trying to get into cover, but just not managing this. Even now, as there's going to be a slight points advantage or tick advantage for 3.6, even now the Polish seem to be just losing units when they don't have to.
Yeah, the ATA's pushing forward, and they're not falling back towards the AA, and that's where the helicopters can come in. When the enemy is a bit low, when the enemy has lost all their fighters, and they can't really afford air defense because the game has been dragged down so much into the mud that both sides have so few units on the battlefield. That's where an ATAS helicopter can just reign supreme, get a lot of kills, and just completely ruin the power balance on the battlefield. Green Berets finally go down, but the ATAS here has only the Shilka to fear about. Shilka now open up fire. Can the ATAS get out of time though? Trisko not reacting here. Is fully A-clicking here. Gets the BMP1 still, but will lose the ATAS here unnecessarily. That could have been prevented. ATAS falling into some pieces, but at least it still got that BMP1 leader kill and paying off fully with that. BMP2, T72M, and the leader are worth a bit more than the ATAS, but still bit of an unnecessary loss there of our player in blue, who is doing pretty well in the north though.
Yeah, with the infantry reinforcement centering on still pushing further up north here, I think Trisko is rightfully just gonna try to contain the middle and try to hold these positions. It's knowing that the way that they've been trading against the Polish right now, I think defense and turtling down is not a bad choice at all, not even under the Dana conditions. The artillery has been forgotten for the moment, but I'm sure it's going to get back in the game right now. The mech force of the Abramses in the north here is powerful enough to just kind of stand on its own, and as long as the supplies can get there, I think the Trisko turtle here is pretty sensible. Yeah, even more like Humvee tows and recon going out there to hold the south. It's good play.
Yeah, gets a couple of units killed off though, Deltas and Chinooks going down, but the combined arms of 3.6 is currently not really around. 3.6 needs a bit more at the helicopter, but all hard to afford when you also need to constantly reintroduce your frontline units. Shilkas are still around a bit, but there's so little frontline in the north. The Danas, they are really the MVPs here for 3.6 as they should be, but Trisko is winning enough other fights that they can keep up the pressure right now, and they have maybe a helicopter push here going towards the middle soon. The 105mm artillery pieces, they didn't really do much so far, but the rest of the fights here are going decently okay, though maybe the Danas really start to swing around now as the losses lately fully blue on units right now. The last 7-8 units that died, all Trisko's units. So Trisko has to be careful to not just throw it all away here right now.
Yeah, Sapers is satcheling down an air rifle squad, but now with the IP Abrams moving out there with no fire support for the Polish to fight against this, the tanks are going to be able to get some free damage done. The Komar RPG with only 500-meter range shows here the inherent weaknesses of low-range ATGMs. the best infantry AT weapons are those that get fired, because they're one of the greatest powers is the suppression and the ability to stun vehicles quickly. And if you have something in 700 meters or 750 meters, the actual in practice effect on the board is so much better than if you have 500 meters.
Yeah, good kill here by the F-15. Gets through all of this in style and gets the hell out of there. And now the leaderboard has completely changed, as that's a lot of red units dying there. 2 MiG-21s going down, couple of infantry units dying in the north in transport as well, as the M1IPs got a bit deeper than Threesix expected, getting the Piotr Smack killed off in BMP1s. And that's all the reinforcements that Threesix planned for the north. So now a pushback there is not going to happen, and Threesix now tries to drive through the south, but that's a lot of units there dying. The Scott 2A's coming maybe a bit too early, not quite coordinated with the reinforcements trying to help them out, and all of them start to die off here as well. Second one will get under fire here too, gets killed off too, and yep, Threesix keeps up the pressure, but hasn't really gained any ground here, and just taking the losses this time around. So both sides here keep on swinging stuff at each other, and Trisko is in the lead. So Trisko can be fine with these kind of situations, as they are the one with 900 points on the bank, and Threesix struggling to get enough onto the battlefield to actually get a cohesive offensive onto the battlefield.
Yeah, I think the Scott 2s just going in on force there. If you want to sacrifice a single transport to get that info, you can do that. Sending a 3 is just completely wasteful. Like I think that's a good symbol of bad engagements. Like if you had waited as the Polish to save those Scots, wait for the Rozpecialny GSR, just move the Rozpecialny, move it until you spot something, use your artillery, wait for the enemy to move around after the artillery, get a long-range engagement with your BMP2s and Scots all at the same time. You can actually break that. And but if you can't do that combined arms play perfectly, it's just going to seem like the division with the better units, the TOW2s and the Apaches and the air rifles, is going to win. I think that's that's something
that's exactly what's happened here. As Trisko does get the W, as Threesix does surrender, realizing that they maybe have fallen a bit too far behind there in the KD. They have swung back and forth a bit, but yeah, that last couple of losses with the planes all going down, and that's just always something that you get baited into in these matchups against WARNO first, and we see it way too often on Mount River. I'm talking about it since day one because it feels like a map where you can use aircraft really nice in the early game, and then you get baited into buying more aircraft, but it is complete bait in the mid and the late game because this map is so easy to shut down in the mid and the late game for aircraft. And yeah, then you just throw away your MiG-21s, and then you fall behind because they don't kill anything and they just die. And yeah, you need to get ground AA up to kill the helicopters because you can't use MiG-21s anymore, and you can't afford that, so you just lose stuff to the helicopters, and then you are far behind, even with the Danas actually doing a pretty good job here, but the rest of the units here, T-72s, BMP-2s, all kind of failing to connect, whilst on the other side, enough units actually did their job here. M1IPs doing a fantastic job throughout. TOW2s killing so many units, and the Kiowa Warriors paying back as well. Job well done here with the heavy airborne division, the 101st, that gets a bit better equipment when it comes to mechanized forces than its lighter 82nd brethren. And Trisko getting on to the semifinals here.
Yeah, I think one of the worst sins that you can perform playing the Polish there, as we saw, is that you're trying to keep up the aggro initiative, trying to always have something attacking, always stuff going on. That is the mindset that you want to play aggro divisions, and the Polish are played as aggro. Second UK, second Panzer Grenadier, fourth Moto, all of this, you want to always keep your stuff moving. But if you lose your units with the 20th Pagena specifically, you can't play it like fourth Polish. You have to actually wait for something akin to a blob. And after trading really badly or losing some key positions, a 20th Pagena player needs to sit down for 20 seconds and think about, what am I going to do here? Because every single time you keep on sending 2 infantry units, 4 infantry units, 1 tank and 1 recon unit, it's always going to go for naught.
Yeah, and job well done here by Trisko. Moving on to the semifinals. With that, also moving on to Division 2 next season, where they come from last season, actually. So returning back there and hopefully performing better there next season than they did last. And yeah, they're gonna fight against Tata Boy or Lijek. Strong matchup there as well. But no matter who gets through, will be a tough challenge for Trisko. But they showed today that they for sure absolutely know the basics about getting onto the enemy here. The basic gameplay was there. Micro, maybe not always on point, like we saw a couple of reinforcements being lost and so on. But outside of that, they for sure, if you give them a good opener and you let them get away with that, they will hit you hard. And yeah, with that said, guys, let's get to Division 1. Let's get to the old guard in Tmanplays versus the new young and up and coming players with Skiffik. And let's see what we get there. As I already can spoil, we will see one of the two new divisions in that, and I'm absolutely excited for it to see how it will perform. So quick break, and then we're gonna be back with Division 1 quarterfinal number 2, Skiffik versus Tmanplays. So here we go, everybody. Tmanplays versus Skiffik. And it is Tmanplays, the Mad Lad, who brings in Div1&3 here into this game. It was played one day after the division dropped, so pretty mad move into it. I also know that Tmanplays didn't really play this division that much in playtesting or anything, so no massive advantage there. And yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what these two can do with these. Quick heads up, this was a rematch as the first game these two played crashed 5 minutes into the game or 6 minutes into the game. So both already kind of had a bit of knowledge getting into the game of how the other one kind of planned to start. Not quite sure how much they added it up, but yeah, Skiffik did crash. Tman allowed the rematch, so thanks to Tman for giving the rematch here to Skiffik. And yeah, let's see what we will get here in this show match between, on the right, the best ranked player WARNO has ever seen last season with five accounts of his in the top 6. And on the left side, the best tournament player WARNO has ever seen, Tmanplays, being back in action, moved house, did get married, now fully back in full swing on his stream and in the tournament play. And it's gonna be really interesting to see how this mod performs here. While Skiffik is coming up with the classic 6 Motor Strike opener here.
Yeah, those who don't know, I basically was, I think, the first viewer and commenter in T-Man's stream back in the day, before nobody else streamed the game, really. And I really like T-Man and Skiffik as this kind of two archetypes of a WARNO streamer, a WARNO player. T-Man is the early access player. He's the guy who starts the game, doesn't have the experience with the genre or other games in the same series or anything like that. Goes out, learns everything, learns the fundamentals, can do everything, can win with every division, even if he messes up just because of his amazing fundamentals. Family man, yeoman trader, and not racist Alabaman. I mean, like T-Man is everything. Skiffik here, Skiffik is the post-launch meta player. Skiffik knows perfection. Skiffik doesn't do wide, he does tight. And he has popularized the recon heli meta, has really been keeping up the aggro meta, and has been strongly like taking advantage of the recon buffs that we had some time ago. And right here we're seeing I don't know if this is really a standard division for Skiffik, the 6th Motorstrelkova Brigada, which is the mixed East German and Soviet Berlin fighting division. And we're already seeing here a heavy investment into the Kampfpanzer T-55 tank that you have described as the best tank in the game, and probably one of the best fire support units in the game, and a significant investment into recon units with the Spetsgruppe A close quarters units going out there and trying to contest both of the towns. Now, T-Man is going heavily into massed infantry up northern town of Zulu, with a limited forces trying to get into the south. With the SDRA 8 false flag spec ops squads, basically trying to fight this with the satchels. But I think the Spetsgruppe with their little bit of extra support, will just have will win this fight. I think as long as Skiffik controls them well enough.
Yeah, and the Provinciers, though, those are really cost-efficient infantry. And this map, a division that I have been talking about quite a lot when it came out. I also have been really playing quite a lot in the playtest, way more than the CLKA. And I think this is actually a pretty scary division, especially currently with its slightly bugged artillery, where it gets free 2-vet on a 203mm gun, which means that its aim time is insanely low, and its reload time as well, so it can dish out a lot of HE damage. So once this division can stabilize their frontline and can do that just by spamming, especially on a map like this, those 2A3s can be really scary. And oh my goodness, the Alpha Jet spam coming in here now. 400 kilogram bombs coming in on 3 planes, but on the other side, the same from Skiffik. 3 L39 with HE bombs as well, 2 500 kilogram bombs on these. So both sides here want to eliminate each other's infantry as good as possible. Spetsgruppe dying on the one side, STR-8s will go down on the other side most likely here. One goes down, the other one survives, but the triple 20mm dishing in into the L39. One of them stays around, has to be careful. Mistral might get a shutout and might get a kill there. Yes, it does. Skiffik losing his light bombers. And the infantry numbers of Tmanplays got into the northern town, and that's a problem here for our red player.
Yeah, the up north we're seeing Skiffik buying some vetted up mech infantry reinforcements there, but it's going to be some time until they can realistically drive the Belgians off the town. The best they can hope for here is to get the fire support into supporting the units that are left. And even now, with T-Man going on Infagro, there's very unlikely that Skiffik can hold that. Meanwhile, Skiffik's T-55s have decided that they are an over-investment into this position. And with Skiffik sending both a leader unit into the back point and now trying to hide it, spotting the M75 getting in the front, as well as a BRM T-55.
Tmanplays really lucky there. BMP1 nearly killed his leader there. Oh, gets another hit out. Tmanplays not watching. Might lose his CV here. Gets the UWATs in the north though. And oh, the Provinciers do survive here. BMP1 not quite strong enough to get the kill there with its main gun. At the meantime, yeah, Skiffik in trouble in the north. Strikers getting the T-55A there. Pinned down and killed off. And Skiffik now has to find a new defensive line there. T-80B coming up. That's the strength of 6 Brigada. It has a good mix of packed equipment, light T-55As, and then T-80Bs and T-64s coming around to help out as well. Well, its infantry mix is a pretty strong one as well. So yeah, Skiffik now running deep towards Papa, but at the same time gets his pressure onto Alpha, as Tmanplays is really setting up a big push there and flooding the battlefield here with cheap and affordable units. Milan 2's strikers, and then a lot of Provinciers with the M75 AAVs.
Yeah, what's the deal with the M75 having better speed than the M113 and the same price and the same weapons and the same armor and the same health? But the M75 is super like the predecessor to the M113. Anyways, meanwhile,
Just
Striker.
European technology or technicians improving on American designs, because
I'm sure. The famous Belgian engineers.
Yeah, exactly. The Volvo engineers on the work there. Whilst we see a deep dive here into Papa working out. +2 coming up. +4 soon to be. And Skiffik does get his early game lead that he loves so much, that he is known for, that he named himself after, with the 10 minutes. 5 minutes to go here. Let's see if Skiffik can finish it early, because if he can't, his record is not that great in League so far. So let's see if the pressure can be kept up here. Is getting a lot of Me Too urns into the north, cleaning up house there. Teeman won't get into Alpha yet. And Skiffik might be able to get the defensive line up here with the T-80B, whilst
but
getting
T-Man missing with the trying to get the UAS leader up north here, even with the Alouette following. Skifik's choice of getting into the up-vetted cheap units with the East German units is really good, I think. The extra resolute trait that the DDR forces get, as well as the extra vet, kind of gives them the triple ability going against zero vet reservist units. And the T-55s are kind of the top dogs around here for now, and so investing into them early on is pretty nice. Now, the Alpha Jets have such a large bomb load, and as long as there is no proper long-range air defense for Skiffik, T-Man can do way too much damage with these cheap 85% bombers. And the strikers are only 65 points, and even though the missiles are not the best, they cause enough danger that means that Skiffik will have to micro the T-80.
Yeah, MI2 Urans now slowly pushing forward here in the north. Provinciers pushed back there. BMP1 getting into the engagements and getting into the fight there. M75 AIV pushing back there, gets the kill onto Skiffik's lovely little vehicle. But the bomber and the rockets come around. Milan 2 under attack. Power Mistral getting a miss there. Milan 2 trying to hit the BMP1 there in the south. Not working out, but Timan is trying to get some foothold towards Oscar again. Will get Papa back soon. The +4 for Skiffik got Skiffik a decent amount of points already, but Skiffik has to be careful to not overextend in the north. MI2 so far doing a pretty good job though. Getting a striker, will get the M75 killed off as well, and yeah, actually getting some decent points here for Skiffik. Skiffik coming around with some MiG-21s as well, but that one gets shut down by the iHawk. iHawk can't one-shot those kind of planes, and that's another strength of the Belgian. They get 2 cards off these iHawks, so air will be shut down soon here for Skiffik completely. So Skiffik has to do it then with artillery, which he gets good ones off as well, but I'm not sure if Skiffik is the best artillery player. Not really his track record, but BRM1s and what off-players here sieging onto Zulu.
Yeah, T-Man is doing like peak perfection wide defense in the southwest next to the Papa point with the Alouette, basically securing the ability to do constant damage with the Alpha Jets. Alpha Jet taking out a T-55 that was in a crucial position, threatening a reinforcement route. And T-Man is applying so much pressure and seeing reinforcements coming up north here that I think they realize that there is no need to reinforce the back point anymore. All of Skiffik's resources are getting put into recapturing the town. Skiffik does not think that they can hold for under 600 points here for the rest of the game with only 8 minutes and 20 seconds gone.
Yeah, T80B is trying to push forward. Ooh, Iltis is spotted. Skiffik realizes that there is a bit of a sneaky going on against them here, but has to be careful with the striker. Oh, Mirage Cluster coming in for the T80B. There's no AA here. There are Books and Tunguskas in the deck. Ooh, does miss though. Tmanplays not getting the hit. Alpha Jet coming around for the Modschützen though. That likely gonna get a hit. MI2 Urn getting shut down by the Provinciers there most likely. And yeah, iHawk helps out as well. Modschützen nearly going down. T80Bs could help out there a bit, but the Ilt is still around. The Alpha Jet's coming in, and yeah, not investing into air defense here earlier, with a Tunguska at least, and maybe with a Book, is a painful situation now for Skiffik, as they really start to lose a good couple of units to the Alpha Jets here.
Yeah, one of the big strengths of Sixth is that they do get the Book, they do get the best long-range defense unit in the game, one of the very few divisions that can get them. And with the Book, they could have maybe started whittling away this force early on. But Skiffik, wanting to rely on the absolute aggro, kind of left the gap here. And T-Man has been exploiting it with these constant air attacks, completely blunting down the initiative. And here, as with economic investment, as with WARNO investment, not doing a good enough infrastructure early on will strike you, even if you are even if you're really good at doing aggro. The infrastructure just was not out there to help Skiffik fight against this free damage.
And here come the 203 millimeters. That's what I talked about. 2 vet, So they are 22 seconds aim time. They only have a reload time of 48 instead of 60 seconds. And if you put a leader next to them, they go down to 70-second aim time and 44 seconds reload time or so. It's absurd combined with the damage they can do, going up to 3.5 rounds per minute then as well, and just smacking anything. And yeah, Skiffik dodging really nicely the cluster bombers though. F-16 once more didn't kill the TADB up north, as it would have maybe gotten the kill if it would have dropped its EHE bombs as well, but T-Man turned that off, not wanting to get a longer reload time, or maybe splitting the bomb load there, but the Tunguska pushed it back before it could get around again, and that means the TADB is still around. And that is really masterful Skiffik play. That's something that nearly nobody else could have achieved against Tmanplays there, keeping the TADB alive against 2 airstrikes in a row. And that's why I still feel like Skiffik absolutely has a shot of getting back in here right now, because that TADB has a massive tank superiority up north here. And yeah, T-Man just ignoring armored play completely, but that might hurt him once those mechanized forces of Skiffik really can start to dish out the damage. The 203mm now on the hunt against the TADB, aiming up already, and now starting the fire. And TADB here will immediately get smacked and isn't moving away. Oh, Skiffik with uncharacteristically slow micro. 203 though, not finding the kill.
Yeah, with the Vosika coming in as the artillery for Skiffik here, but that artillery is only really good in trying to hit the provincial in the town. The M115, so T-Man, which is basically the advanced artillery from Hearts of Iron, if anybody's interested. So top tier World War II artillery here, and with the sheer numbers here, and as you pointed out, the increased reload speed, there needs to be like a hard counter. Vostika is not it. There is still no proper air defense here outside of the Tunguska, and the Tunguska missing its first missile here.
Getting the gun run onto the target though. Alpha Jet number 1 goes down, but there comes the Mirage Cluster Bomber. Tunguska is dodging again. Oh my goodness, the ground micro of Skiffik is so good. Like these cluster bomber missing is the only thing keeping Skiffik here in the game. Any other player would have been punished so hard already for having too little air defense. It's still painful here for Skiffik, but he stays alive for now. The Tunguska is low cohesion, so not dealing any damage to the F-16, but the siege has started now from Skiffik's side of things as well. Gwazdika going for the Milan 2 there, and TDB and BMP1 still could help out. Saperi RPO coming into the push. ZPUs, fantastic fire support, though the same could be said for the other side. Ooh, a lot of M47s now coming in. They have great fire support capabilities, good HE damage, and they can overwhelm the TADB in numbers as well, as they have heat rounds, so they can do a bit of damage. BTR-60 there is going to die, and yes, Skiffik needs to find a solution for those mechanized blobs.
Yeah, there is so much potential for Provincial here. You get like 48 of them max per division, and all the rest of your infantry is good as well. So having the gendarme squad there with the stylish blue uniforms and the friendly policemen watching over the provincial troops here, and they will be able to upgrade even the specialized Saperi forces of Skiffik, and that infantry assault just going absolutely nowhere. Really, the damage dealers for Skiffik here need to be artillery and tanks, and with the M47 blob arriving here, they won't be able to really destroy the T-80, but as long as they can engage it, suppress it down, and buy some time for the Provincial to win their town fights, that's good enough. That will also buy time for ATGMs for the Belgians to actually reach their target or their fighters.
Yeah, 203mm artillery here, coming in with quite a bit of firepower. ZPU versus the Provincial, fighting pretty hard, helping out with a good amount of fire support. The Gwazdika now coming in with decent hits there from the rear as well. One bet on those guys, so they have a pretty decent fire rate as well. And Skiffik, being Skiffik, kept a good amount of the Saperis at least alive, but oh, TADB there, driving into Milan fire, and gets side-shotted, and explodes with a crit. Ooh, painful. Finally, the T80B is down, and that means that there's little currently to stop the M47s. And that means if Skiffik is pushing forward, those maybe could just come around for big flank, 2 cluster bombers setting up again, and yeah, no MiG-31, no Book here. I'm not quite sure why Skiffik decided to ignore the air game this much, but it's hurting him quite a bit.
Yeah,
Alpha Jet coming around again.
It's like a massive miscalculation. I think maybe they were just not expecting the div mob to have the. Maybe they just didn't have experience against it or something. But really, the lack of early artillery investment and lack of early AA investments is kind of a mistake if you're playing with the artillery and AA division specifically. And the MiG-21s are of course nice, and you can and the L-39s you can bring them out early on. But by the time your enemy has their Eyehawks up, you're just giving them 3 points for not having your own. There are lots of infantry units that could have been better spent in something else. Now, and there is a fight emerging down south here as well, with reinforcements coming on both ends. Now, only reservist units coming in for Tmanplays, but Tman also not pushing here. And I think if Tman can just hold this corner, the eventual air and artillery fire supremacy advantage will win this. So Tman is currently not really, doesn't want to be attacking on Oscar, just wants to hold the corner.
Yeah, the M47's coming now, pushing forward, and as I said earlier, little anti-tank around there since the TADB died. Book's finally coming around, but they come so late, and they come maybe at the totally wrong moment when there will maybe be a need for more ground units. T64 is in the south as well, but there are 4 M47s and a striker here as well, pushing forward. One of them at least gets shut down immediately. Milan 2 with the BMP1 kill there. One striker went down too. So maybe Skiffik can hold on here in the south, but has to be really careful there with the micro. Can't afford to lose the M47, the T64 against the M47s and the Milan 2 flank. And yeah, Skiffik playing with his low cost cheap spam in the early game, little AA, little artillery as well. Like he picked the Gwarzdika instead of the Hyacinth, which is one of the key points to play 6 usually, because you get that autoloader packed in artillery, the best 155mm artillery for the Soviets in the game, or 152mm rather. Autoloader, hard hitting, can fire smoke, but instead went with the cheap 122mm artillery piece that deals a lot less damage. And yeah, pushing forward now into the northern infantry, but at the same time, the big infantry blob of T-Man is getting into the southern town.
Yeah, with the book getting finally bought in here, T-Man must have bought like every fighter bomber he has in his deck so far, and this is only when there is 155 points for the book. This is just bad management for Skiffik's part. I think it could be that, like you said, Skiffik is not the most accomplished tournament player, and it could be that when the aggro did not get its results, the muscle memory to follow up on the failed aggro or imperfect aggro just was not there. There was like a 50-50 win and loss all around the place, with T-Man applying a bunch of pressure out there, and then Skiffik following this up with just series of uncharacteristically bad attack and buy decisions. But you're correct about, like, Skiffik does keep the units alive. The wounded units do run off early, and even now with the Saperi pushing out there, they are getting some damage done. The problem is that the Provincial are 40 points, they're 12-man squads. As long as there are leaders and gendarmes around the place, they're gonna be without debuffs and on veterancy 1. This is insane value. There is barely anything that 6 can do to actually beat those units toe-to-toe. And with the 2 long toms out there, with the Alpha just diving in once again, and with no Hyacinths, the firepower advantage is just with the Belgians.
And the artillery comes in and it takes out all the infantry. Oh, complete disaster there. The Alpha Jets getting through without the books being able to punish them. One of the books got bombed by a cluster bomber, finally taking out one of them in the south. The 203 targeted them as well, and that's just disaster here. Skiffik was just about to clean the town, and then the bomber strike. Not enough air defense there for the Alpha Jets. No MiG-31s in the sky, as Skiffik was going full-on MiG-21 and L-39 on his own, and yeah, feeding into the Eyehawks, feeding into the air defenses, of the Mistrals and so on of our player in blue. And now Skiffik has to buy a full-on new attack in the north, whilst at the same time clinging on for dear life in the south. Lost one of his T-64s down here. One still alive, but outnumbered quite badly. Is falling back, got the striker there. So the M47 should fall as well. So the T-64 at least will stay. And as long as that stays, there is hope here for Skiffik. Spes Group A in a good fight there against the Provinciers. And he gets back full control over the north. Even will get a bit of a tick there for a while, though only for a split second as his UATs dies in the south. But cleans the southern edge of the town, is still in the town with a bit of infantry, but a lot of Provinciers have shown up again. You get 60 of those, 5 cards of 12 in the div mob, and you usually take at least 3 or 4 of them. And yeah, the T-64 BVK pushing in the north, gets seen by the Plinter side though, could be side-shotted here by Tman if Tman actually would want to reveal themselves. Doesn't quite have anything to follow it up yet though, so keeps the recon unit out of the combat, whilst getting more infantry in there. Yeah, the bomber, the Alpha Jets just clearing the town. They got all the value, and this is a really tough position now for Skiffik.
Yeah, the fights going on in the southern town, especially, I guess there is barely anything that Skiffik can do here except try to retreat from to get under the fire cover of the T-64, and even that is just delaying the inevitable. And with Skiffik, yes, Skiffik is buying in reinforcements at BMP1s, and there are no solutions here. They're just trying to get even more of the standard frontline infantry. At this point, at the very least, you'd think that Skiffik would be trying to transition into some kind of long-term defense, and but yeah, just feeding the infantry down south is not a good decision, I don't think.
Yeah, something here is slightly wrong with the tank turret of the M47 there for a second. That looked like they had a bit of a tumor, but yeah, pushing in here now as well. As the rear of the turret doesn't rotate with the rest. M75 AFV is dying, but those are only 20 points. The 64 is keeping up, but Alpha Jet's coming in again. No AA here. Not having the MiG-31 ready here in this deck at all. It's a wild choice as well, as that one has fire and forget missiles. It can just fly in, and each of them kills an Alpha Jet. And T-64 goes down to the Alpha Jets. Alpha Jets being the MVP of this game is not something I expected to see in the matchup against Tunguska's Books and all of that. The M47 blob here gets decimated as well, but that's actually a smaller loss, 3 of them, than the T-64 on the other side. You can get 4 of them for T-64, and even some. And Mirage Cluster here coming around on the other side will try to dive for the northern forces. T-64 there being under attack. Book a bit too far back, not enough support for all of this, and yeah, Skiffik is really running out of space and running out of units, as Tmanplays absolutely back with the +2 here. Tunguska trying to help out, but there we go. Skiffik does GG out, and Tman does win game number 1 here.
Yeah, I mean that was really nice on especially T-Man's part, but for Skiffik, the opener with the T-55s getting microed and used not statically as you would expect slow tanks to be used, but instead repairing them up with recon and sending them up to try to compromise enemy reinforcement routes. But like we said earlier, I think Skiffik kind of just got put under pressure in a way that didn't allow them to follow the muscle memory. And somebody in the chat said that Skiffik took 10 minutes to actually pick out the division. So there must have been some pretty big thinking going out there, and maybe a certain kinds of fights and certain kind of engagements that Skiffik imagined that were going to happen that just never actually properly materialized, leading into the weird buy of infantry way too early, Wostikas, and the air fight, instead of trying to deal with the immediate issue of the enemy having those incredible 85-point bombers with 4 massive bombs in them for 2 minutes reload. It's like the potential there is massive, and you can shut it down just did not do that.
Yeah, Alpha Jet getting this many kills is just kind of absurd against one of the divisions with the best air defense in the game. But yeah, Skiffik just played for the early rush, and his early rush was a bit odd, like trying to go through the L39s there against Ihawks and Mistrals and stuff is like even the triple 20mm AA guns could shut down the L39s, as we saw. So that was a bit of a misplay there in the early game, like maybe believing that they could get through there as well. And yep, Teeman reacted to it. Skiffik didn't, and that's what got them punished here, losing the air war, and with that losing the ground fight as well, as Teeman was allowed to get the northern town there with the Alpha Jet cluster bombing run, whilst also getting through the south with artillery and bombers. And yeah, the 203mm did their job for sure, but they actually didn't get as many kills as I would have expected. As first of all, Skiffik always agile, so killing him off with artillery is not that easy. And second of all, Teeman maybe also not getting the maximum out of those, but he got the maximum of the Alpha Jets. That was enough. And with that, we're gonna see how Skiffik reacts now to this playstyle and what we're gonna see in game number 2. GGVP here to Teeman. Let's see if Skiffik can bring back the series. So here we go. Game number 2. As Skiffik and Tmanplays come around on Mount River. And we have another Div Mob game out of Teeman, whilst we have another East German Berlin division, but this time Berliner Gruppierung for Skiffik. That's going to be an interesting one as well. But before we jump in, a quick shout out to the Matcherino page, guys, where you can help out funding the tournament's prize pool, which by now is at $216. Big thanks there to Chris Vo coming in with another $50, helping us out to the $216 lately. And yeah, big thanks for the message here as well. Losing a bet over Southwick delay. And yeah, may the best players RNG ship and shatter. And yep, if you want to help out, you can do so via the link in the chat. And you don't even have to pay anything like these guys. You just have to click the claim code button here to add 25 cents to the prize pool for free. So you can help out funding this tournament without paying anything. All you have to do is go to the page and click this little button, and that's 25 cents to the prize pool for free. Thanks, Mandala, for the click there. So you see 5 more remaining, guys. $1.25 there, just laying around on the street for these top level players. And yeah, let's see if Teeman can get one step closer to that prize money with getting to the semifinals by a win here, or if Skiffik can stop them. And oh, this is a classic Berliner Gruppierung opener. I love it. This is going to be an interesting one. Also,
yeah, so Skiffik here saw the units armed by the super bazookas, the 10 penetration provincial AT weapons, and figured out that, well, if I'm ever going to be using the T-34s as fire support, this is going to be the matchup. Now, there are going to be KDA Schutzen out here. KDA Schutzen relatively way weaker than the reservist units coming in for T-Man, but with their own military police and leader units with the Berliner, they can also function very well in proper conditions. Now, the T-34s, as we have gone over in different casts, is poo-poo from a butt. It's bad. It doesn't do anything. It's not a good unit unless you can have the absolute right conditions. And now with Skiffik, it's going to be basically he's going to have to try to manufacture those conditions with T-Man already predicting that something like this is going to happen, because why else would Skiffik be playing Berliner Gruppierung? And T-Man is heavily investing into the good stuff here. We're seeing a bunch of Provincial. We're getting an early Ihawk with the Gendarmes, 10-man, only 45-point military police squads with excellent uniforms, if I may say so. And with a light mechanized force to guard the southern area, which is pretty smart, because if the enemy penetrates or does like a tank attack, the mech can actually escape and get further in and wait for reinforcements. But just sending in like 2 cheap infantry units there, they could be killed by a bombing attack or by a TO-55. And I'm in the Skiffik buy of KDA shoots and interest me a little bit here, because Berliner does get East German infantry, and it gets good East German infantry, not just the Wachschützen Aufklärer, but all the other Wachschützen as well. The fact that we're getting the massed amount of mech with only very limited investments in some recon and militia infantry units kind of tells me that Skiffik wants to do some kind of like thunder run with 3 generations old equipment. That the infantry fights here in Skiffik's mind are only going to happen as excuses for the tanks to get to fight against these 12-man infantry squads, because large infantry squads in this game are kind of busted. They're not like super overpowered, but as long as the provincial are at high cohesion, as long as something hasn't fired at them, the DPS they do is insane, and they can easily burst down the cohesion of even better units.
Yes, but they have a terrible AT weapon, the Provincials. Just like the KDA, they are pretty similar units. One is a 12-man, the other one is a 14-man squad for a pretty fair price. T-34, 85 though, they can deal with the shitboxes. They can deal with the M75s. They have enough fire output there to deal with those. And they can go to 501 meter range away from the Provincials without having to worry about the Super Bazooka. That's, I think, the game plan here for Skiffik. Just staying at those 501 meter range, shooting away with actually decent HE output for 30 points. Like, you get a main gun with decent HE output, you get 2 MGs here on the T-34, and you have 6 frontal armor, so even if a Super Bazooka hits you, you can survive that. And you can survive actually 2 hits of that without big issues. But yeah, M41s here coming around for the south. Those are pretty good T-34 hunters. What they're not good against is TO-55s. And that's what coming in here on Skiffik's side, as 2 TO-55s, fantastic tanks coming in the south. You can go for a full T-55 opener with Berliner Gruppierung as well. But Skiffik did opt for the T-34 spam instead. And it's maybe the play that can counter this here. Like, yes, the T-34 in most matchups, it is kind of trash, but against specifically this Provincial M75 thing, and all those, like, AA guns, which can't damage the T-34 frontally, that's actually might be the play.
Yeah, and I think if you follow it up with the high vet T-55s after you've gotten kind of the fight going, maybe that can be the punch that actually secures you the win. If you're going to rush with something, the T-34, at the very least, if you lose them, it's pretty cheap to lose. Now we're seeing the stay behind SDRA 8 groups exchanging fire with some Aufklärers at the middle, with the special forces recon units running away and the organized crime units following them, with an Alpha Jet HE2 already waiting to pick out any early targets, especially recon units, taking them out early on, knowing the way that Berliner is played with the mech. And
ooh, Shilka goes down there, meaning that the second Alpha Jet can come in, and oh no, the T-55s, they're so stacked. But they're moving away in the last second, but they are staying inside. They do survive here, but all 3 of them are near death now. M41s could even consider chasing that. They don't, but Skiffik's push in the south is completely stopped. So Skiffik will have to get supply in. Has a lot more T-34s coming onto the battlefield. Once more playing really low on the AA. Might want to get his Shilka in against in the south. This time around, he has Coops instead of Books. His fighters are a lot weaker. Only MiG-21s this time around, but his AA is still pretty decent. First T-34 goes down to Milan 2. Unimog with Milan 1s is pretty scary in this fight as well, though even that can't quite one-shot the T-34. Any heat weapon needs a 14-point difference to one-shot, so the 6 frontal armor, the 17 pen doesn't quite have the one-shot capability there either, with only 11 difference. And yeah, we see the T-34s now rushing in. We'll get on top of the Unimog here. We'll start opening up fire against the heavy MG unit as well, and all the KDAs with the SPWs and all the BMP2s behind them now pushing forward in the north. 1 TO-55 in there as well. Paracommando and Milan 2 already going down. One BRM1K here goes down in the north as well, so a bit less recon here for Skiffik. BRM1K getting nerfed just because of Skiffik, basically, because he abused them as insanely good free recon throughout the last couple of tournaments and the league. No, not the league, but the ranked play, I meant. And because you got 6 availability of them, you could just permanently have an exceptional optics recon unit. Now they down to 4 availability, meaning that they are worth a lot more, and losing them is a lot harsher because you might run out of them. Ooh, another Alpha Jet HE though! Could get another good run here. Targeting the Shilka again, and I think the Shilka mismoved again. Yeah, Skiffik getting indecisive there in the middle of this movement. If he would have kept the first move forward up and not back into it, he actually would have survived there. Hunting down the AA on the other side though, and Tmanplays gets completely pushed out of the north. T-34s now pushing into the south as well, but the Milan 2s are there, the M41s are there, so that's not T-34 country. This is where the T-55s are needed, so the T-34s need to back out. They do that though. Skiffik keeps them alive, and that's Skiffik play. That's why he is the GOAT on the ladder right now, because he keeps those units active and moving.
Yeah, and meanwhile, all T-Man's reinforcements are going to reinforce the northern flank here, kind of giving their, especially with a cluster bomber now diving in with for Skiffik, giving them a possibility of maybe breaking into the back point. Even with the Alpha Jet coming to deal damage here, Skiffik might actually have this on both ends right now. And T-Man playing the Div Mob. Div Mob does not have the key units. They don't have the Apaches. They don't have the M1 the Abrams tanks that can be micro to stop these forces. T-Man can only regain these positions by attacking them with the old and reservist units. And with the Berliner Gruppierung being chock full of also standard regular army troops with the T-55s and the Motorschützen and the BMP-1s and the BTRs, they will be able to get more of that firepower out there. And T-Man really is kind of reliant on the last positions here, because it's just going to be that the tanks are just not good enough to support for a long advance, and the infantry need to basically fight stationary around the gendarmes and the leadership.
Yeah, a real Cold Korean War reenactment here. T-34-85s charging into M41 Bulldogs and M47s. The Tmanplays formations here are really under pressure. The M41 having to hold on here, but it is super stressed out. T-34 is pushing around the corner. Provinciers with the Super Bazooka, more weapons out of Korea, trying to help out here. And the T-34 is actually getting stopped on both sides a bit, but they are so dirt cheap. They are even cheaper than the Provinciers. You can get 2 T-34s for 1 Provincier with its transport vehicle, and the Provincier leaders here being stuck in the swarm of T-34s. T-Man keeps it alive in the smoke, whilst getting out the strikers to stop the T-34 push. Getting more M41s into the north here as well. Bulldogs coming around. Oh, and the cluster bomber gets the T-55A killed off. Alpha Jet coming out again. And maybe Skiffik overextending a bit here right now. With that push deep into the north. Maybe should have been fine with just taking Papa. Tried a bit too much maybe. No air defense here to stop the Alpha Jets from dropping. Gets it on the way out though, but has lost a lot there. TO-55 still in the fight with the M41, but only a couple T-34s and some KDA shots left. Is this the swing around here? M41's quick hunting tanks, and this feels like the Busan perimeter breaking out, or maybe the invasion of Incheon. The Tmanplays here now coming around with the flank and just completely demolishing the T-34s. Southern push still going on. That's Skiffik's big potential here right now. Maybe getting even more space there, but the Milan 2 is in a good spot. Milan 2 Iltis is down. Milan 2 in the high-rise building will die off as well. Oh, no, the L-39's all missing there. Actually slightly misclicking that unit. Milan 2 in the building, still getting a shot out. Shilka not getting the kill. T-55A eating a hit into the face. M41's coming around. The Milan 2 still has 3 rounds left. Shilka's don't spotted, no recon around, and oh, it's such an overextension here. It's such an overextension by Skiffik. Tmanplays with his classic Counter-Strike. Like, he is known for not having the greatest openers, but he is also known for being persistent and being able to come back from any position in a game, and that's exactly what's happening here right now.
Yeah, even though I commented on T-Man investing all of their reinforcements up north here, but with the exact right amount of overextension from Skiffik to allow T-Man to engage singular units with like 4 or 2 tanks at the same time, and that was enough there to allow for the larger front line of Skiffik to just break down. The follow-up reinforcements for Skiffik are too far behind because all of them, especially the infantry reinforcement, the Gadiaschützen, were bought to support the southern attack. And now, even though the southern attack has worked, despite all of those little miscalculations there, there is barely any recon. There's a single BRM out there. The iHawks can probably start doing something about these cluster attacks here, taking out an M41. And even though there are 6 T-55s now right behind the front line here, those units will not be able to drive through. They will be stopped by hidden infantry. They can be
Cluster bomber coming in for another CV tank, and yeah, once more Teeman's air superiority carrying them, just like the air superiority carried the NATO forces through the Korean War. And no MiG alley is set up here to stop that push. M41 is had to fall back. Provinciers pushing back the KDAs. Big push of Teeman in the north, and Skiffik really struggling to get a defensive line set up here. Brings in more tanks, but just can't protect them against the air. No coops, no mix, no Shilkas around anymore as well, as Teeman focused those really nicely early on. And yes, Skiffik now trying to push in here from the side, but once more, no recon. BRM ones not around anymore. And without that, finding these units in the buildings of Tmanplay and trying to clear them out is problematic.
Yeah, the lack of infantry here. The KDA Schützen are nice, and they do their job if in certain situations. But Skiffik here is seems to be replacing standard fighting infantry like Motorschützen with the KDA, meaning that all of these attacks that are happening, the infantry is just like you see the mech attack going in the middle right now. There's no infantry. You see the reinforcements going out there in the north. There is also no infantry now. The KDAs and the Motogrenzers are getting bought there. And does Skiffik think that the Motorschützen unit is just not like not powerful enough against the provincial that it's not it's not smart to actually engage in any infantry engagements? Maybe that's the logic there. Maybe Skiffik is thinking that having an 18-pen AT launcher is overpriced or too much in this matchup. But even then, like the KDA just have not performed well enough, I don't think.
Yeah. F16 here coming around. The push of Skiffik in the early game, he should have entrenched it, but that's obviously not the Skiffik way. Skiffik really is a bit too stuck maybe on his ladder ways, where he wants to get into the next game as quickly as possible. He wants to finish off the game so he can grind up, but that's not how tournaments work. And against a consistent player of Teeman who has been in a lot of 40-minute games, who has come back from a lot of bad positions, who knows how to turn games around, overextending like that is deadly. Like, other players will lose their mojo, will start to throw away their units. Tmanplays, even after losing an opener, won't do that, and that's what is currently biting Skiffik here. He's starting to get a couple of kills against 741s. The T-55 push in the north is pretty strong, but he needs some air defense. Coop finally coming up, but the cluster bomber is already out again. And the cluster bomber is already sharking for another kill here. And really, both games here, currently Skiffik struggling with the air defense, loses another T-55A, and with that, is losing his momentum again.
Yeah, like 70% of a human being is muscle memory, and we should not think it's weird that Skiffik, who plays, as you said, in a very certain way, a very predictable and perfected way, to maximize their ability to hold the next 18 positions, top 20 fully for Skiffik on the ranked or something like that. If you want to achieve that, you're going to play in a way that is not necessarily optimal for actual performance. You're going to learn bad habits. You're going to not learn certain good habits. And T-Man, especially being the guy who always loses the opener at this point. I know it's a joke, but it's true. And that has put T-Man in countless situations where they have had to look the map in a certain way, figure out what unit combinations work the best, and this muscle memory is showing here.
Yeah, the question is, does T-Man really lose the early game, or is he just scouting for the mid game? Like at this point, there might be just something behind that, and him setting up the later stages, giving up a bit of ground, giving maybe up a bit of units as well, but just setting up the mid game better than others. Like, it's not his micro, obviously, because like T-Man has perfect clicks and perfect usage of APM, but his APM is still insanely low. Like, you can watch his streams and you see him clicking like unload button and so on the bottom, or change altitude button for helicopters instead of using the hotkey for it, because that's how Tmanplays. Meanwhile, Skiffik has the highest APM of any WARNO content creator out there, and even made some videos about the hotkey groups and so on. So really, two heavy opposites clashing into each other. But yeah, Tmanplays just knows how to play from these kind of positions, and Skiffik kind of struggles with this. Like, he is not behind that many times, especially not after the first 2 minutes or so. Like, he sometimes loses the first engagement, but he nearly never loses the second. And he did here. He did lose the second and the third engagement. Now in the fourth, fifth, and sixth, he's just not having the combined arms that he's used to, and he's struggling to keep it up.
And now the Wakschützen are coming in here. The Wakschützen, vetted up Wakschützen driving in 15 minutes after the game has started. Just a few of these guys in tactical locations could have maybe slowed down T-Man's mech attacks and whatever. And now we're seeing even there was an M41 tank vetted up, which had 14 rate of fire, which is very high for a tank. And yeah, I don't know, like it's only 60 points. It's 60 points, 60 and 30 points of Wakschützen and SPW 70. Like, two of those things in a good position, they can hold just a little bit longer. They can offer you T55s, just a little bit better positions. They can trade out the enemy fire support. They can suppress the rest of them because they can get out that next shot. And yeah, it's just reliance on the KDA early on. Even if you're playing a low-level WARNO, I don't think it's a bad rule of thumb to send out the good stuff early by the vetted up troops to attack and fight the low vet troops to defend.
Yeah, and yeah, also Div1&3 really throwing a bit of a wrench there into the whole understanding of the meta might help out T-Man here as well, because obviously Skiffik has played against every division out there that was around in the game a lot of times. So picking a new division that he might not be so familiar with, and that maybe also might be underrated before the game. Like, a lot of people kind of joked about, oh, another trash reservist division, oh, it will be useless like 157. No, this is not 157 at all. This division is pure cost efficiency and pure mass, with a decent amount of staying power with the M47s that have an okay frontal armor as well. Way more than any 1 or 2 armor unit in 157 ever could give you. And yep, Skiffik failed to calculate for it in game number 1 with the air opener. And yeah, tried to rush through it, but it just can replace its losses so quickly that the rush through it doesn't quite work, and then you pay the air tax when you don't get your AA up in time against it, because you maybe thought you could finish it off quicker. And yeah, that's where we come in here with the Provinciers, with the M47s just rolling forward, and T55s, they got nerfed slightly, so that maybe just slightly putting up the miscalculation there as well, because they are now 5 points more expensive. It's not a big change, but it is a change. So a slight nerf to the power of the Berliner Gruppierung as well, and the 6, and all of that here coming a bit into play as well. Cluster Bomber coming in, will get another kill here. The Coop's not ready to retaliate, really. And Skiffik is struggling to stay in this game. Has a +2 right now, as they still have the South. And that's the saving grace here. If they can hold on in the middle, and if they finally can get the air defense up, finally 3 Coops on the battlefield, rocket helicopter coming in as well, which there is no defense really outside of a single Mistral right now, so the north could be retaken as well. But Skiffik needs to hold on against the push in the middle, and M47s and Yak Panzers coming in numbers.
Yeah, I think people kind of talking about the reservist divisions as just immediately bad. I think a lot of them haven't played as much ranked recently because they haven't yet internalized the actual changes with the rework, the militia and the reservist trade rework. Because a lot of reservist divisions are very serviceable right now. A lot of the units are just they just work better, they feel better, and with the bugs and the freezing, I think a bunch of people kind of just follow the news without playing regularly, and those people will just assume that this is just is going to play just like all the other ones because they immediately disregard any reservice spamming. And the M47s especially, I mean, they're 45-point units, and that basically makes them death traps already. But with the fast rate of fire, with their massive amount of machine guns, and their like pretty high armor at 9, that is a very, very enticing. Like it is cheaper than a BMP2, and in the job of doing damage to infantry, that's nothing to joke at.
Yeah, and the bombers here once more not getting through for Skiffik. Skiffik desperately trying to get in here, but this is not how this map is going to get played. KDA here stopping the M41s in the south, and the take is still not quite going on for Tman, but Tman pushing forwards against the T55As. The Coups failing a bit on their job here against the Mistrals, a fourth one coming around. MiG-21 AA getting into the action here as well. KDA trying to shoot down the Alouette, as the MiG-21 will help out with that too. But M47 spam coming in, so the south soon to collapse here for Skiffik. So Skiffik needs to get some W's in the middle. Provinciers and M75s pushing forward here in big numbers. They will struggle. KDA shoots near pretty deadly against the M47s as well, so those will have to be careful. One of them getting routed against the T55A, and it might be a dangerous amount of T55As that Skiffik can get assembled here, but are not quite yet. And there we go, T55A getting damaged. Mirage finally gets hit here. One of the Coups still reloading though, even gets a hit against the Mi-8 TV, but there goes the Mirage. M47s get beaten. Is Skiffik finally stabilizing here? The Rapira in a good spot as well. The issues with the stabilization, Tman can bring this into an artillery game as well, and then the game might become once more pretty painful here for Skiffik. So Skiffik wants to stabilize on one end, but also keep the game somewhat agile, as those double vet artillery pieces can ruin your day quite quickly here.
Yeah, with the reinforcements for T-Man finally moving in to secure the south with the 3 M47s and the leader, I think T-Man having the air supremacy here relatively could actually probably just go for Lima and check, kind of test that around, send in a single tank, and if there's nothing to spot it, you just go and apply some more pressure. The T55 attack here is getting controlled very carefully to not get in the range of any infantry weaponry. There is a lack of recon with the KDA Schutzen basically being the only one to provide it. And with a regular army troops, Motorschutz and BTR coming in on groups on both the north and the south and the middle fight. But these units also, it is completely possible that if the T55s get pushed back, if they are too wounded and there's going to be some bad engagements, the M47s can also destroy the BTRs and the Motorschützen as if they can also overpower the T55s. And the T55s don't have smoke, neither do have the M47s. But with ATGMs getting deployed here and this being a very open ground, it's risky to move the T55s to attack right now, I think.
Yeah, they also need to get repaired right now. Motorschützen coming in here, but getting hit immediately. In the north, we have a bit of a push as well. Rapira gets into a better position here. The Motorschützen get killed in transport. We have a big push in the south as well. We saw a good couple of planes lately going down for Tman, so the coup setup finally starts to pay off a bit here for Skiffik, but we have a +2 that nearly overtook Skiffik's point by now, and there we go. Skiffik does tap out again, and we have Tmanplays in the semifinals with a double div mob action here, making the new division work and maybe bringing in a return of the reservist divisions back into the meta. We had in the old days KDA and TKS doing this already once before. Then the drop off came when the reservist trade was first introduced, and then a lot of people started to hate reservist when 152nd that the community voted upon came into the play. But now div mob might actually bring it all back, and yeah, Tmanplays brings it to the semifinal here with a strong show against Skiffik, who has to try again next season.
Yeah, 2.1 vote. That Nemesis 2.1, never forget. Okay. So far, yeah, the reservist comeback seems to be happening. I mean, I still think that the div mob, even though with its really, really, really good infantry spam, maybe the best infantry spam currently that you can just easily put out there, with the right combination of cheap stuff and quality, the 30-point T-34s have just never managed to actually perform in the task that the 55-point M47s seem to do so well. And yeah, with the iHawk covering all of this, and with the ability to remove key enemy units with the cluster bombers and the alpha jets here, I think div mob is gonna have a pretty bright near future as an all-in like reservist slow attack division, basically. And I think the way to counter it is going to be, as always, trying to get in long range engagements. Don't engage. It's like dealing with somebody who is having a psychosis on the street. Just walk past them. Don't even look them in the eye. Just get to the next forest and the next forest. And when you do actually have a group of high-tech units, let's say 2 or 3 T-80s or T-64s, that's when you can start getting in those engagements. Any kind of earlier entanglement kind of risks you into getting into the sights of all of this pretty cheap damage that can be brought out.
Yeah, and yeah, I would expect a couple of small nerfs to div mob coming around. For sure, the artillery obviously gonna get fixed, so it doesn't have free 2-vet. And yeah, we might see a nerf to the Provinciers, a slight one or so as well. But in general, I believe the division will stick around as that cost-efficient, just wave of units pushing your way. It's gonna be interesting to see how that all plays out. And yep, good show here by Skiffik, but not quite enough. Both games underestimating the opponent division maybe a bit, especially the air tap and the alpha jet bombardment there. And yeah, job well done here. And that means we have the first semifinal with Joker Tart versus Tmanplays. The other quarterfinals, Leifens versus Dark Neutron and Pro Commie versus Bendover, gonna be really exciting as well, and gonna come up soon. And yep, thanks there for the support, everybody, today. And big thanks to Andrew here coming in with another $20 for direct support, getting us to $237, and also only 2 more claims here left on the Metrino page. And yeah, thanks for all of you for the support. Thanks for the gifted sub, Panda Boots. Thanks for all the new follows. The Mage, Mad Machina, and Ploides all coming around with the follow. If you haven't followed yet, if you haven't subscribed on YouTube yet, do that right now so you don't miss the next upcoming stream. The next one will already be tomorrow with some more Division 2 casts coming along that way. So yeah, big thanks to all of you. And yeah, that was actually the wrong way around. Yeah, thanks for all the support. Leave a like down below if you want to support the channel and want to have more people watch WARNO competitive play. And yep, any final words from you, Chloride?
In YouTube chat, Raupe Schmetterling said that some lighter mechtivs with upgraded tanks like 4th Polish could work against the reservists. I think that is an excellent call. That I think the like 4th Polish might actually be just the right combination of aggro and like efficiency to go against DivMob, and with everything being like a slight tier higher than what DivMob gets. Of course, don't want to rely too much on the infantry spam, because your BMP1s that you're buying will be inefficient in attacking against the M47s. But yeah, that's a good call. I think Fagot attack with a bunch of good vetted up infantry in 4th Polish could work here.
Yeah, and we're now gonna send you over to a friend of the channel who's playing some Kingdom Come Deliverance too, O'Hara, who was also did some WARNO Army General campaigns in the past, and likely gonna do them when Southwick comes around as well. So until then, thanks for watching, everybody, and see you in the next one.